It's very simple. If you've been drawing for a while and you've made almost no progress or no progress at all, you've been learning art the wrong way. Most likely, it's not because you're stupid or that art is not for you. Everybody's got the potential to learn it. Some might have a little more than others, but everybody still has some potential. But not everybody knows how to learn it though. And that kind of goes for most skills if you think about it. Like most people can learn some math, but it's only because we had a teacher teaching us, you know, back when we were in school, or right now if you're watching this in class, like a teacher taking us through all the steps, you know, from basic concepts to more advanced stuff. It's just that most people don't usually get that kind of help with art. But I teach art for a living, so maybe I can help. I think just like with any skill, the secret is to approach it as if you were playing a role-playing game, like a video game, where the monsters get increasingly stronger as you level up. When you're level 1, when you're just starting, in most games, you'll get to learn the basics, you know, in like a starting zone where the monsters are pretty easy, pretty weak, right? Like if you try to go beat a boss right away, you'll get destroyed. So what would that look like for artists that are starting? Like what would be your starting zone? And then what's a medium level zone look like? What about a high level zone? Let's find out. So like seeing what resonates the most with students over many years of teaching, these are the things that will bear the most fruit if you're just starting as an artist. And well, if you're more advanced, don't hesitate to skip to the zone that makes the most sense for you. I'll have the timestamps down in the timeline. So when you start as an artist, it's a whole new world out there. Where do you begin? What do you focus on? If you've just recently started, I think your biggest hurdle will be to learn to observe better. Observe like an artist. Observation is everything to an artist. It's the most important skill you can develop. It's the ability to look at something and beyond just seeing, to also understand and memorize it with good accuracy so that you can eventually draw it from imagination later. The problem is that we're all initially pretty bad at doing that. Observation is a skill like any other, you know, and all skills start at 0. We've all been there. It's normal. And as you get better, not only can you soak up increasingly more information, but you also get better at memorizing it too. So to improve it, what do? The actual first steps will be to start off by looking at simple objects and trying to draw them, either from real life, things around you, or from photo references. Spend a good amount of time staring at your subject, like trying to notice different things about it instead of just starting to draw right away. Hold off for a second. Look at its silhouette, how big it is relative to other nearby objects maybe, what color it is, how shiny it is, how it fits in its environment. What simple geometric shapes does it remind you of? Some serious thought has to go into the process, because just passively looking at something is not gonna help you. It's an active process. And this will go hand in hand with the other main skill that we'll develop in this starting zone. Your understanding of form. Everything you'll ever draw will always be based on this. It's the skill that will allow you to draw shapes in 2 dimensions, like circles, squares, and so on, but also, more importantly, simple 3D volumes like boxes, spheres, and cylinders. It's the ability to look at complex objects and, paired with observation, to be able to mentally simplify what you see down to its simplest shape. It's like learning to spot the individual Lego blocks in what you see around you, kind of. And just like Legos, with simple blocks we'll eventually be able to create some very intricate structures. These 2 fundamental skills will help train your brain to think and see like an artist. So it's very important to focus on those first. Obviously, it's probably not super exciting to just do that, you know, for most people. So also do what's fun for you, but have a bigger focus on form and observation. And there's this question that always comes back, but don't worry about the time that it takes you to do anything at this point. Your speed is just a reflection of your experience, so you should be pretty slow at first. It would be kind of weird if you weren't. Now, out of the starting zone, let's call this zone the medium level zone. Or basically when you're able to draw simple objects, maybe some more complicated objects like a simplified version of the human figure, like simple characters. At this point, you'll want to introduce art theory to the mix. The art fundamentals. So it's time to dig in deeper. Go beyond drawing what you see and actually try to understand why they look the way they do, why something looks good, why something doesn't. This is really what that zone is all about. And well, if you're not sure what those fundamentals are, I've actually made a class going specifically over all of them in details. So if this is something that you're interested in, I'll put the link to it down in the video description. Check it out after this one. And if all of that is still not enough, if you'd prefer I take your hand through everything. If you think leveling up with a community of like-minded people might be a better fit for you, a program with a week-by-week structure guiding you through everything you would possibly need to be able to draw anything your mind can imagine, you might want to check out my art school program with the link in the video description. The mega summer sale is still ongoing, so have a look down there to see exactly when it ends. You should find all the info you need. In my biased opinion, it's the best investment you could possibly make in yourself as an artist. And if you're already a student, I love you. Alright, back in the medium level zone. All those art fundamentals I was talking about are basically going to be the rules of the game here. Like if you've never played a complicated game to learn like League of Legends, and one day you decide to check out like a Twitch stream where a game is playing, you'll likely be back to browsing YouTube in no time because your non-existent knowledge of the game is just going to ruin your time to the point you won't understand anything that's happening. Or I guess it's the same as like watching a chess game without knowing the rules. That's a snooze fest. But when you do learn the rules of those games, suddenly watching them becomes a lot more enjoyable. You can actually understand what's going on. You're basically able to extract more information out of what's happening. It might actually be a good time. So do the same for art. Learn the rules of the game, the art fundamentals. In this medium level zone, you're still doing everything you were doing in the starting zone, right? It's not a different game all of a sudden, but you'll want to add fundamental studies to the mix as well. And I think there's one fundamental in particular that would be kind of a priority to focus on, and that would be the fundamental of construction. It's stuff like drawing buildings, but as boxes, you know, before you start adding the details. Or drawing the human mannequin before starting to draw the final character with all the details and all its anatomy. It's basically that mastery of those Lego blocks that I was talking in the previous zone, to the point where you're able to assemble much more complex structures out of them. Now, all the fundamentals are important in this zone, but I would say construction should be at the top of your list because it's really insane the kind of stuff it will allow you to do. Now, if you've made it to this zone, you're in the end game. The high level zone is where most artists will find themselves. You have a solid grasp on all fundamentals at this point, and I would say the main focus at this level should be to become a specialist in whatever you prefer to draw. For instance, if it's characters, study things like looking at the individual muscles, the skeleton, playing around with the boundaries of what you can do, like with proportions, dig deep into the principles of design, study advanced perspective, foreshortening, how to draw convincing fabric clothing folds, that kind of stuff, how to draw different hairstyles, detailed portraits, how to draw cool props for your characters, different facial expressions, etc. And well, it's the same idea if you're more into environments. There's so much to dig deeper into. And the more you know on the subject you're trying to draw, the more you'll be able to observe and the better you'll get at drawing it. This zone alone is probably bigger than all the other zones combined because there's just so much to learn in art, so much to get better at, it almost seems infinite. But I think that's what's fun about art. There's really no limit to how good you can get. And with each level, the learning pace should actually increase if you do it well. Like if you stick to the right zone for your current level. Because just like in an RPG, if you stay too long in the zone that you're too strong for, you'll get to a point where you're not gaining much XP anymore and you're kind of wasting your time. But then if you jump to a tougher zone too soon, you'll get destroyed. So it's all about finding that zone that's the right fit for you at your current level. Do that and you'll improve. Everybody has the potential, it's just that most people find themselves in the wrong zone. So there it is. I think this is super important stuff for artists of any level. And I hope this will help if your pace of progress hasn't been quite to the level that you expected out of yourself. Or if you're just starting and you had no idea where to even begin. I hope it helps. Let me know in the comments if it does. And if I can recommend a good video to watch after this, it would be my fundamentals video going over all the 7 fundamentals like I mentioned earlier. Why don't you check that out as you wait for next week's class? It should appear here on the screen in a second. I'll see you there.